Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Learner's Wisdom, and I am Dr. Pooja, and I'm again here with a little bit complex topic, that is when inhibitors are given, that is inhibitors of the electron transport chain, then how the ATP count is calculated. So this is just to show you where the electron transport chain is lying, that is in the inner mitochondrial membrane. So and now let's calculate how many ATPs are generated when inhibitors are there for the electron transport chain. So this is again as a reference that how many H ions are being transported when NADH is being oxidized or FADH is being oxidized. So for this again I'm repeating that 4 H ions are required to generate 1 ATP, and when 1 NADH it transports via complex 1, 3 and 4 10 H ions, and FAD it transfers 6 H ions via complex 3 and 4. So that is how it is equivalent to 1.5 ATP FADH and 2.5 ATP, that is NADH. So now let's see how this works. So this is what I was talking about. NADH it gives its electron to the pathway is 1 to 3 and to 4. So this is the transport of the electrons, and with FADH the transport of electron is FADH from complex 2 to complex 3 to complex 4. So now see, let's take up one example. Let's see, I have introduced rotenone as the inhibitor of complex 1. So that suggests that none of this electron transport is going to take place from complex 1 to 3 to 4, and no H ions are being transported from matrix of the mitochondria to the inner membrane space. Hence 0 ATPs are generated. And contrastingly, if it is specifically the inhibitor for complex 1, then the pathway for the complex for FADH remain unchanged, undisturbed, and 6 H ions are transported. So that is why 1.5 ATP will be generated via this FADH oxidation. Similarly, taking example of the complex 2, that is amytol, malonate and carboxyl, then in this case the complex 1 remains undisturbed. So that is why the NADH will be equivalent to 2.5 ATPs. Whereas when complex 2 is inhibited at the initial stage, then FADH oxidation is completely inhibited and therefore 0 ATPs are generated. Now coming to the complex third inhibitor, that is example is your antimycin and mixothiazole. So in this case the complex 3 will not be able, from complex 3 onwards the H ions will not be transported from matrix to the mitochondria, but complex 1 remains undisturbed. So that is why 4 H ions are transported from matrix to the inner membrane. 4 H ions, that is equivalent to 1 ATP. 4 H ion divided by 4, that will give us 1 ATP, and but there will be no ATPs from this FADH because second does not transport any H ion and 3 is already inhibited. Now coming to the complex 4, that is example again is cyanide, very famous poison. So cyanide, when it is the inhibitor for complex 4, so that means the initial two, that is complex 1 and 3, remain undisturbed, unchanged. The H ion transport will be occurring. So hence via NADH oxidation 1.5 ATP is formed, whereas via FADH no ATPs, as because 2 H ion does not lead to any ATP generation. So that is all about the inhibitors of electron transport chain. Thank you everyone for patiently listening. I'll come up with again with one more topic. Thank you.